How to stop scumbags littering our streets, our countryside and our beaches. To most of us, it is inconceivable to throw away an empty McDonald's packet out of your moving car window. Actually, to me, it's inconceivable to have McDonald's in the first place, but I digress. Or to casually drop litter on the street, to discard your single-use face mask outside of a shop, to shake your family picnic rug with all of its contents on the beach, in the park, in the countryside, or at a music festival and leave it there for somebody else to pick up. Or to let off a helium balloon to land God knows where, to put out a cigarette butt on the pavement or sidewalk and think your job is done because you've actually put it out. To most of us, this is inconceivable. So this week I'm going to be talking about littering. And this is really inspired or comes from a communication I had with a guy who reached out to me on Twitter.
Reach out, you say? Are you a member of the Four Tops? I didn't think so.
Asking what I thought of his website called stoplittering.com. Anyway, it was on Twitter with a minimum character count. I was in a hurry and I responded with clearly not the fullest answer he was expecting. Anyway, more on that later. Look, littering is a huge issue, not just because we do it as people, as a society, but because we also do it on an industrial scale, at state and country level. But today I'm going to be talking about ordinary people like you and I, and how we can stop littering our beaches, our parks, our countryside, our rivers, our oceans and streets. I have one word, and that word is Japan. But before I get into that, if you don't have the time to watch the whole video now, why not subscribe to my channel and check back later. And don't forget to hammer the like button. Jeff, if you are watching this, I think the work you are doing is amazing. And I think all the work that people who go around picking up other people's litter do is amazing. So this is just between me and Jeff then? No, not really. Let me explain. Jeff simply asked me, what do you think of stoplittering.com? To which I responded with, interesting, not seen it before. I think the emphasis needs to be on stop people littering though, rather than having people pick it up. I'm not saying there's not a place for it, but it's a shame that it is there. Then Jeff came back with what I feel was an unnecessarily aggressive, what a stupid comment. That shows you don't get how it does that indirectly, let alone that there is no better way to do so by creating a stigma. Christ, how quickly things can escalate on social media. So next, I'm trying to diffuse the situation. I mean, Jeff and I, we are on the same side, right? Of course we are. So I respond with a conciliatory, Jeff, I do get that entirely, and perhaps my reply could have been clearer on that. I do understand, for instance, that someone may feel less like throwing litter on the street if he sees his neighbour picking it up. So in that way, it would be more than the sum of its parts. And then I spent the next 2 weeks thinking about this subject and indeed researching it. How do you stop people littering? Is Jeff right? Do Singapore do it right? Do Japan do it right? Why some neighbourhoods get trashed and others don't? Who are the people that litter? And why please don't litter signs can often have the opposite effect. It is really fascinating stuff. But really, hands up anyone. It's okay, I can't see them. If you have ever, even just once in your entire life, thrown something on the ground, a fag butt, a coffee cup, a cellophane wrapper, a candy bar wrapper, a plastic bottle, or left rubbish at a festival site, or on a beach, or let off a helium balloon, or try to put something in the trash and it misses, but you leave it because it started blowing down the street. If that is just once, and you somehow think that that is acceptable, that is 7.5 billion pieces of acceptable littering. Most of us have done these things on more than one occasion. I'll let you do the maths. So there are two types of litterer here. First, you have the once, twice, 10 times a lifetime people, which is most of us. Then you have the habitual litterer, people who just don't care. And both of these are influenced by one very important thing, and this is where Jeff comes in. roughly, and this isn't exact, about a third of your once in a lifetime and habitual litterers alike will continue to litter no matter what. But the one thing that acts as the largest deterrent to littering is how clean the area is. Nobody wants to be the first person to throw litter on a clean street, which is why poorer neighbourhoods tend to suffer from littering more than more affluent neighbourhoods, merely by the fact that they are kept cleaner to begin with. Which is why Jeff's work is so valuable. However, and this is where we bring in Singapore and Japan. I may be overemphasising this to help illustrate my point, but both Singapore and Japan are considered very clean countries. Not to be confused with good recycling rates though, particularly not Singapore, but that is another story. So how do they both do it? Let's start with Singapore. Singapore has a massive littering problem, but have a massive band of street cleaners that constantly keep the country clean. So people in Singapore feel that it's okay to throw litter on the ground since someone is paid to pick it up. Whereas Japan sends its school children out on half-day litter picking. Children are taught from an early age that littering is not okay. And not many people are going to throw litter on the street because they know a child will pick it up. So, how can we incorporate the Japanese model rather than the Singapore model into Western society, the UK, the USA, Germany, Greece or wherever? How can we stop the minority from dropping litter in the first place? I honestly don't know. But here is something that surprisingly can have a detrimental effect on trying to stop people littering. The sign. Please don't stand on the edge. Where do you immediately want to stand? I know where I want to stand. Please don't look through the gap in the fence. Where do you want to look? Through the bloody gap in the fence. No photography. Well, no photography. Or, I love this one. Please don't abuse the toll booth staff. I would never dream of abusing toll booth staff. I would never dream of it. But now I'm literally having to control my inner Tourette syndrome and not yell out, "Your mother smells of elderberries. You have stupid hands and your face looks like a goat's vagina." I don't do this, obviously, but the point here is that you have a passive, "Please do not litter" sign. But to a lot of people, and it's okay, I don't mean everybody, so please don't message me and tell me I'm an asshole. To a lot of people, you are telling them that litter happens here. And if littering happens here, they feel less inhibited about littering themselves. This really is a thing, honestly. So you need to be careful how you persuade people. So if Jeff is indeed stigmatising and shaming his litterers through whatever means, perhaps wearing a jacket with "Littering is a crime, take your litter home or burn in hell. Only selfish twats leave their trash. I had to do this because you do that. There is no excuse for littering," or something similar, then he is doing more than the sum of his parts, which is cleaning up after other people. If, however, he only cleans up the beach when nobody can see him, or does it when people can see him, but does not make it clear that he is a volunteer, then he might be doing more harm than good by actually encouraging people to litter because some guy comes and picks it up. There's a short and hilarious video that you can see here that explains this phenomenon better than I ever could. So do take a look at that. I'll put a link to it in the description below, so you don't have to leave this yet. So, in fact, the very best people to be persuaded to pick up our litter are children, as this does two things. It teaches future generations, like Japan, that we should not litter, and secondly, adults on a beach will feel guilty about littering. And again, there is another video put together by a friend of mine on a local initiative here in Felixstowe where I live, involving children, which you can see here. For the record, I think I'm in credit on my littering, having picked up more litter than I have inadvertently discarded in my lifetime. COVID has made this a bit more difficult, but I am an occasional litter pickerer. Litter pickerer? Litter picker. Particularly if it's outside my home. But I am genuinely in awe of people like Jeff, who organise beach cleanups, who give up their time, their weekends to clear up after other people. But the real long-term solution has to be to stop people littering in the first place. Let's be like Japan, or at least my understanding of what Japan is all about. And this was going to be the bit where I talked to Jeff, but Jeff has declined to answer my email. But before we move on to Ask Angus, which is coming up next, which is a new segment we're doing at the end of each video for this season, I just want to say, I do think people who clean up litter and beaches and volunteers, you are amazing people. But there is something to learn from this. If you're going to do it, just try and be visible with it. Don't make it look like you're paid to do it. If you can take children along with you, that's great. Try not to do it at night when nobody sees you. Otherwise, somebody just magically thinks that they threw litter on the beach yesterday and today it's gone. That's amazing. So just be aware of that. Coming up next is...
Ask Angus.
But before we go there, if you care about this stuff, and let's be honest, we should all care about this stuff, please do subscribe to my channel. It's free to do so. Share this video with your friends, comment and like. Don't forget to hammer the like button. I really do appreciate every subscriber, every comment, every like and every share. It really does help me make a difference in spreading the word. So thank you.
Coming up next, it's Ask Angus.
So here we are. This is
Ask Angus.
where you get to ask me some questions. So if you are new to my channel, you won't know about last season's post bag, which was basically me reading out vile letters and messages from people. But anyway, I get lots of messages and lots of them are really nice. And lots of them are just batshit crazy. So last season was batshit crazy letters. So this season I'm going to do Ask Angus. So it's your questions, and amongst all the bile and vile stuff that I got, last season and continue to get, I also get some really lovely messages of support, and often some questions. So I'm actually going to do, for the next 9 episodes, I'm going to be answering your questions. So if you do have questions, please do send them in, and my lovely assistant, Anthea.
Oh, me? How can I help you?
Okay, so what I want you to do is every time I say, my lovely assistant, Anthea, is going to read out this week's question, then you have to read out this week's question.
Ah, I think I can do that.
Okay, my lovely assistant Anthea is going to read out this week's question.
Angus, how can you claim to be an environmentalist and not be a vegan? Isn't that a bit hypocritical?
I really do think this is an excellent question. And I have to start by saying that I have never pretended to be either vegan or vegetarian. In fact, up until 18 months ago, I was a card-carrying, salad-dodging carnivore. So I'm trying to change my eating habits slowly. If we're going to survive on this planet, we have to move towards a more plant-based diet. And I understand that. And that was my initial driver. That was my main driver to actually eat more plant-based. And I am eating more plant-based. I started off by sort of 1 day a week, vegan or vegetarian, and at the moment I'm at least 2 days a week vegan or vegetarian, and I'm hoping by the end of this year I'll be at least 3 days vegan or vegetarian, and that is huge. As I say, the main driver was that we simply cannot sustain a meat-based diet, but now it's moving from beyond that to animal welfare. And yes, I do think you can do both. You shouldn't have to do everything in a day. And I'm not trying to do everything in a day. Whether I'll actually ever be able to actually give up cheese, I don't know. But I am really trying. So thank you for the question. I hope that's a good answer for you. I am a work in progress, and that's kind of what my channel is about. If I can do it, then you can do it. So thank you for that.